Focus, a college football podcast. My name is Brandon, and I am a lifetime Florida State Seminole fan.
And I'm Chris, and I am a major Florida Gator fan.
Indeed you are. And we are putting aside our differences as rivals to bring you the fantastic world of college football throughout the Sunshine State. Today is the last part of our series of the 2019 Mega Season Preview. And Chris, so far it's been a heck of a ride, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, love talking about college football, talking about our teams, and we get to round it off by talking about we'll go quote-unquote other schools in the state and
right.
Getting ready for the season.
Yes, and outside of the Gators and the Noles, there are quite a few interesting games, so we'll have to wait and see how those unfold throughout the season. We're very excited as well. But well, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. I'll let you go first, Chris. Since you're down in the South Florida area, what you got for the Miami Hurricanes? What does their 2019 season unfold?
We have another team with a new coaching staff or head coach. And I think last year we had Florida State had new coaches. Was there any other new coaches the year before that? I want to see how long this streak can go where we have a new coach in the state of Florida. So,
no, I don't think so. Everybody was consistent.
I'm pretty sure. I'm calling it some coaches of the Big Seven are going to get fired.
Oh.
And I'll throw out the name later on. But no, the Hurricanes have Diaz, which is good. It's a hired from within. He's was their D coordinator. They're familiar with him, so that helps the players there. But still, anytime you have a new head coach, new regime, it's that transition is kind of like where's this going to go? Could be good, could be bad, but a lot of newness for the Miami Hurricanes, even at quarterback. That's been a topic of controversy lately because Tate Martell entered the transfer portal, came out into Miami, and just everybody assumed he was going to be the starting guy. You know, he was at Ohio State, the Ohio State, whatever you want to call it. And about a week ago, it was a little bit of a shocker when redshirt freshman Jaron Williams was named the quarterback.
Yep.
And now you have Martell, you even have N'Kosi Perry, who played a lot last year. So they're on one hand, I guess he has some good backups if he gets hurt or doesn't do well, but it's just surprising that he was picked. We'll see how it plans out. They have they're missing a little bit on the running backs, although DJ Dallas is pretty solid. Jeff Thomas is the guy at wide receiver that you have to keep an eye on, and of course that defense led by Shaq Quarterman is always going to be good, especially with Diaz at the head coach. So interesting to see how things play out for them. Any thoughts that you have on the preview before we talk about the schedule?
No, I think it's pretty spot on. You know, it's obvious now with Dan Enos coming in as a coordinator of the offense for Miami that they kind of want to start fresh, and I'm not surprised N'Kosi Perry's not starting. Even though he played 6 games last year, clearly wasn't the answer. You kind of graduate out some of your other dead weight at that position, and it's just time to move on. Tate Martell and anybody else in the transfer portal is going to learn pretty quickly. This is a temporary solution, and you're not always guaranteed to start. And I'm kind of on board with these coaches not always saying, just by default, you're going to be the guy. And UCF has kind of that element as well. We'll talk about that a bit. Florida State has it with Hornibrook. And it's just not a guarantee, and I'm kind of glad it's going that way. You're right with the defense, Quarterman and Pinckney coming back as linebackers, a force to be reckoned with. And that's certainly how Miami stayed bowl eligible last year, despite a very inept offense. So as long as they can get that corrected, they're pretty easily for a bowl bid again. It's just interesting to see how they're going to handle the big games.
Yeah. Someone once said that in referencing people that transfer, like, don't get too excited because there's a reason they are transferring. And so we have to think about that a lot. Yeah, I think that looking at their schedule, I think that they could and should make a bowl. Notable games that we have to look at. Obviously, week 0 right around the corner, starting off in Orlando versus Florida. That is obviously a huge huge game, rivalry game. What a game to start off with your new coach and new quarterback against the Gators, who are on the up a little bit. Interesting to see how they come out and play against the Gators. Then they have a bye week. Notable games after that. They play Virginia Tech. Virginia, that's going to be back-to-back games for them. Then they're at Florida State later on in the season. And they also, interesting note, they play at FIU, who also play in Miami. Yep. I think it's going to be at Marlins Park, or the baseball field there. So that's going to be a pretty interesting game for them. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. As far as schedule and like wins and losses, I think that I have them 7-5. Just whatever. I think Hurricane fans want a little bit more than that. I think they're real high on Diaz, but I think 7-5 is what you'd think they should go. And Virginia Tech, right in the middle. FSU, I don't have them beating FSU. You do. And of course, Florida starting off.
Right. So, a couple of interesting highlights about the Miami schedule. They only leave the state of Florida twice.
Did not realize that.
Great job. So they go, if I'm looking at the rec correctly, last week they're at Duke, and I think they're at Pittsburgh. That's it.
They're at North Carolina. They're at
North Carolina. That's the other one. Thank you. Yeah. So everyone else in the state of Florida, they've got they're hosting their non-conferences, Bethune-Cookman and Central Michigan. So pretty easy wins there. But then your neutral site game against the Gators in Orlando, and you're at Florida State. And then you're at FIU, which is, 30 minutes at max from where their school is. So you're not traveling very far at all.
Yeah, and that's pretty much their own stadium is 30 minutes from their school.
Right.
So they're used to that.
Exactly. So but for that reason, and because their schedule is so weak, I almost want to take Miami at 9-3 this year, but I'm going to go 8-4. I really don't think they're going to struggle much, and they don't have to have a lot of returning talent. The reason I'm not going to go 9-3 confidently is because the offense hasn't proven to me they can do it. If you win, then you're playing Clemson in the title game, and we all know how that's going to go. So you get all of your toughest games, at home, or as we just established, as close to home as you can get because they don't have a home stadium. So your Virginias, your Virginia Techs, your Georgia Techs, all the teams they traditionally struggle with, you get them all in Miami. So good for you. And like I said, that the swing game in Tallahassee probably goes the Canes' way, in my opinion. You differ, which is totally fine. And I don't think they're going to have the strength of schedule is pretty bad. So I think they're going to be all right. And so I'm going to go 8-4.
Yeah, a lot of people have them winning their division, and I can kind of see it, but I'm just not on high on them as most are. Although that division isn't really strong right now, so I get it. Was it the Coastal? You said it was?
The Coastal, yes, sir.
If it's not directional, I get confused, to be honest. If there's divisions, it's not east, west, north, south. I'm like, I get so
the Big Ten did us a huge favor. They used to be the champions and legends, and they're after a year or two, they're like, we're just gonna throw that out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, interesting to see again another team in Florida with a new coach, and be fun to watch them as the season progresses.
All right, very good. So that's the Hurricanes, and we're within one victory of where we think they're going to do. So that should be interesting. Another team to keep an eye out for, and this is a team that has not failed to impress the last couple of seasons. That'd be the UCF Knights.
Yeah.
Coming out of Orlando, Florida. Yeah. Back-to-back undefeated regular seasons, back-to-back conference championships in the American. Very impressive, scoring 30 or 31 points, I forget what the streak is, in every single game. So, last season when they started, I predicted, you're going to win 10 games. You'll probably lose a couple in the regular season, and you'll win the conference championship. So, I was wrong there. I'll just admit that. But, as much as I was wrong, I'm going to stick with that same prediction, because how often do you see a team go undefeated in 3 regular seasons? I just don't think it's going to happen. But I still think UCF wins 10 games. there's a few things to kind of highlight the year. They start off with FAMU. That's fine. That's a pretty easy win. D2 out of Tallahassee. The Rattlers not bringing their marching band to this one, so I have no interest in going. It's going to be a blowout. The biggest game, if I were to circle one, would be they host Stanford. I'm a huge fan of this one, and I'm very excited. As far as I know, Chris, I'll be there. So this is one that they had to play Stanford a few years ago when they went winless and didn't go so well, obviously. So this is kind of the other end of that. And to bring a school from Northern California into Central Florida in the middle of September, that's going to be a struggle for the Cardinal. It really is. And you see that one. I also see that they play Cincinnati, who's better. You have to go on the road for them. You do host Houston. Out of those 3 games, Houston, Cincy, Stanford, I really think they lose 2 of those 3. If they're having a fantastic season, they only lose 1 of those 3, but they're not going to go undefeated in those 3 matchups. That's where I'm at. The other games, I'm not concerned about. The East Carolinas, the Tulsas.
I think you have to watch out at Pitt. Could be a game you have to, especially coming right after Stanford. Game to look at.
It could be a trap game. That would be my only concern. But the team itself, match on match, they handled Pittsburgh last year. So I'm just Pitt's just not a good team. No. I mean, even at they went 7 wins last year, winning the Coastal. Again, that tells you how bad that division is. I don't really feel like if UCF and Pitt even give their best game, UCF still wins by 10 points. That's kind of where I'm at. Now, to your point, yes, after Stanford, an exhausting game because they play very physical football, that could be a different story. Plus, you're traveling pretty far. Who knows how that could end up. But I still think UCF goes 10-2. I think it's good for the American if Memphis wins the other side again and they end up playing in the title game. That would just be fantastic. I'm sure UCF's tired of playing them. I think that Houston may be a better team coming out of that side, so you may play Houston twice this year. Oh. But I'll take 10 regular season wins for UCF.
I'm going to go 11. I think they slip up somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, I see at Stanford or at Cincy, one of those 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't think they struggle with Houston then?
Yeah.
Houston is they're pretty high scoring and pretty much nothing else. And you also have Holgerson in his first year. It is in Orlando. Mm-hmm. So I can kind of see that. But, okay, still within 1 there. Still conference champions, you think, in the American?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't – I know the other teams I don't really – I don't know. They're not doing anything to really make me think otherwise.
And to your pick with Cincinnati, the thing that concerns me the most is that their running back, I forget his name, is legit, and he's going to get a lot of carries. And that is the one thing UCF struggled with the last 2 years, even when they went undefeated, was they couldn't stop the run. Stopping the pass, they're fine, but they cannot stop the run, and it's been very, very concerning. It would be more concerning if they weren't great in every other aspect.
Yeah.
But if you see a team that can run well, then you should be worried, which is why they probably stand a better chance against Stanford than they did 2 years ago, because Stanford's not going to do the remember the old goal line package from NCAA football?
Yeah.
3 tight ends, a fullback. Stanford doesn't do that anymore, but even 2 years ago with Bryce Love, they would. Mm-hmm. Now they have Costello who can throw the ball, and they have good receivers, and Bryce Love has gone to the NFL. So that actually bodes in UCF's favor, but it may not still be enough. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to take a little step back, but still one loss. Yeah. And I think you can see them again in the New Year's 6.
Yeah, even with the loss?
Yeah. Well, actually, they aren't like highly ranked, so maybe not. Maybe you're right. They might have to go undefeated to get into the.
Yeah, it really kind of stinks though to be in a conference like that and to have one regular season loss and they could end up in the Cactus Bowl. It's very possible.
It's a hit or miss. Big time.
For sure. Okay, so within 1 on that team as well. Perfect. Okay, go to you next, Chris. What else you got down there in South Florida you want to predict?
We are looking at the FIU, the Panthers. Led, of course, by Butch Davis. And he really had them going last year and made it to a bowl game, won their bowl game versus Toledo. only four losses last year, and one of them being to Miami. So looking pretty good, and I like the squad that's returning, and I really like their schedule, the way it plays out. Again, they have to play Miami and Miami and then at Marshall at the end of the season, back to back. That's going to be tough. But I think prior to that, it's going to be. I don't think they're going to be undefeated, but fairly easy leading up to those final two games for them.
Yeah, I'm going to go a step above what you're saying. I'm not shy about this. I think FIU is going to win Conference USA this year. They're going to be the conference champions.
I think they're definitely going to be in the game.
You think so?
Yeah, the championship game.
Okay.
Sure, just because the path looks fairly easy to.
Right. Morgan continues to show that, as far as I can tell, he's the guy. You're at Tulane, start the year. They're an American team who's probably only going to win 3 or 4 games. That's an easy win. Western Kentucky, New Hampshire, those are easy ones. They're going to struggle in the conference matchups.
Right.
On paper, they don't look like you struggle. Like, you wouldn't think they're going to struggle at Charlotte or against UTEP or Middle Tennessee or Old Dominion. But compared to their talent level, those are hard games.
Right.
And so you're going to drop 2 or 3 in there. But I think they still have the talent and enough scoring power to win their division. And I think they do end up pulling it off this year. They were within a game from getting the title last year.
Yeah,
and they're only getting better.
Yeah, I definitely see them being in the title game. See who the opponent is and how they're playing at the time of the season. But yeah, those last 3 games are the ones you really got to worry about. But prior to that, no.
Yeah,
nothing.
Very true. I mean, they're going to have their struggles against Florida Atlantic. We'll talk about them.
Right.
And of course, I think that Marshall game will end up deciding the East. So
yeah, me too.
Cool. All right. So regular season total wins. What do you take for the Panthers?
2 losses, 3 losses at the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to go 9-3 or 10-2?
So we'll go. I've been talking a lot. I'll go 10-2.
10-2. Okay. I'll take 9-3. I think we're agreeing that Miami's a loss.
Yeah.
Probably New Hampshire's a win. Yeah. Okay. I'll take 9-3. We may line up, we may not. That's fine. All right. Perfect. So moving over to another part of Florida, that would be the South Florida Bulls, located in Tampa, Florida, coming out of the American. A lot of upside from last year. The famous skid heard around the world, where you see a team that starts ranked in 7-0, loses their last 6 games. I would challenge you to find another team that did that, and you're not going to find one because they were the only ones ever.
It was bad.
It was just hard to watch because they weren't competitive. They didn't care. They had injuries. It was the first time I looked at Charlie Strong, and I said, "What's up, bro? Come on, let's get it together." I have all the confidence that he will bring back a better program, and the differential will be obvious. One of the weirdest and interesting matchups I see this year is they host Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I don't know why the Badgers agreed to this game. Aren't you a big enough school that you wouldn't have to travel to a Tampa?
Unless they did like a home and home, and it's part of that, but still.
Right. Also, last year, why Miami went to Akron still blows my mind. Yeah. But, it is what it is. So Wisconsin's going to have their way against South Florida, and I don't think that game will be competitive. They do go to Georgia Tech. That's a rebuild there for Jeff Collins in the ACC, and you're switching over from a 3-4. So I actually like South Florida's chances, and I'm going to take them to win. The game after their bye week is SMU, which means 3-1. That's what I was getting for.
That's what you're going for.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
My apologies. Interesting game against BYU. I don't really see a struggle against anyone else. They're going to lose to UCF, in my opinion. They do get Memphis from the other side.
Yeah.
That one's
Memphis and Cincy.
Yeah, so that's a tough struggle. So there's definitely, in my opinion, 4 losses there toward the end of the year. So I'll take the Bulls at 8-4.
I'm not that high on them. I don't like their schedule. I don't like Wisconsin at Georgia Tech. At Navy, that's going to be. I know Navy's not the greatest, but still.
Right.
And then I don't like the way they end the year with those 3. I have them at 6-6.
Wow, 2 game difference for us. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm calling it. This is Charlie Strong's last season.
Oh, the sleeper pick. You think he gets the axe? Really?
I think so. I don't want him to get the axe. I like the guy. If they don't make a bowl, you definitely. I think if they get 6-6, that's it. If they go like 7 or 8, I think he's safe. But 6 is that's the line right there.
Wow. Okay, so last year I predicted he was going to be gone, and now I'm like, no, he's going to wait games to be fine. And now you're on the wagon that he's going to be fired by the end of the year.
Complete switcheroo.
That's how the tables turn. Well, if you go 6-6 in the American this consistently, the question as the administration at South Florida, you have to ask yourself: is this what we want of our program?
Yeah.
If you don't really care, then you keep Charlie Strong as long as you want.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're saying,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you're saying I want to build a new stadium, I want wins, I want dollars, then that's a whole different change in regime. Then you have to get rid of them.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking so Florida is getting back to where they were. Presumably Florida State's going to do the same. Miami's going to do the same. Now you have UCF climbing up. Now FIU is making a little bit of noise. You got to be thinking, we got to catch up in this arms race. If not, we got to get a new guy. And going on to your point, if you really want this new stuff, we have to start winning. And I don't think 6 wins is enough.
Very true. Maybe they hired Lane Kiffin.
Oh, the Lane train moves over to the other side of the state.
Exactly.
Not that far of a drive.
No, yeah. Just move all your talent there. It's an upgrade in conference. You get more eyes on TV. He's a decent fit.
Yeah. So, interesting note about the Bulls. Their offensive coordinator is Kerwin Bell. Does that ring any bells to you?
Ha! Pun intended.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot to mention that he was a former Gator.
Yeah, Gator quarterback back in the day. And then he was at JU for a while and did pretty decent there. And then I think went to Valdosta State and won a championship there before going. But when he was at JU, before the Gators hired McElwain, there's a lot of Gator fans that were throwing his name in the hat to be the new head coach of Florida because he was a Florida guy, because he was an offensive guy, had decent success at Jacksonville.
Right.
But I think hiring some guy from Jacksonville was the one that was really holding university back from him, from really considering him. But that was a name that people were like, we got to look at this guy. We got to look at this guy. He's pretty good, and we're familiar with him.
Well, there you go.
But I'm glad that he's moving up into this position, and I think if anyone's gonna save Charlie, it's gonna be Kerwin.
Okay.
Because he's had success wherever he's gone.
Yeah, and to solidify, people were like, "Oh, JU, Valdosta State, those are D2." That's true, but also Valdosta State is a top 10 Division II program. Yeah. So that plus his Gator success, plus you got Cronkite, who is probably the best running back NFL style wise in the American. Those are some of the reasons why I like the Bulls to go 8-4. So. Just to add a little more explanation to that. But I'm glad you brought up Kerwin Bell because I forgot to mention it.
Yeah. So I think he has potential to get to that mark that you're talking about. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, I think he's going to be a big reason why.
All right. I'm always Charlie Strong. In the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, last year I thought you were gone, but you're staying, so I'm back on you. So let's right the ship.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. So, down there in Boca Raton, Florida, you got the FAU Howls going on. So, what you got to report for them, Chris?
Yeah, let's talk about the Lane train. And this train kind of slowing down a little bit. I'm very curious to see how they do without Singletary in the backfield. Chris Robinson is okay overall. I want to see how the running backs really fill in the gap there. As far as their schedule goes, the first 2 weeks are a doozy. I mean, a doozy. At Ohio State, followed up by UCF.
Right.
Oh, what a way to start off your season. It gets a little easier after that. You do have Marshall and FIU are notable games that you have to play. But other than that, I'm not too worried about. At Western Kentucky, maybe. ODU, not so much. Middle Tennessee. at Charlotte's not a big deal. Wagner Seahawks, like, but man, they just have to mentally go into, okay, our season starts at week 3.
Right.
Season starts week 3, and then we can really get going from there.
I really do admire the administration of FAU to not be scared to schedule these hard games.
Yeah.
They were last year at Oklahoma, this year at Ohio
Right.
State. Woo! You just know it's not going to go well. You did do a home and home with UCF. They don't quite have the clout to do like the 2-1 or everything else you've seen recently. So you will have the Knights at home. I don't think that's going to be a problem. In fact, you and I are going to pretty much solidify to be at that game. So we'll have a lot more to share. But other reports I'm seeing is that, FAU is just a small school. They don't have a big pull. They're actually moving their student section to like the 50-yard lines for this game just to have the appearance of bigger attendance.
Oh my!
You have open stadiums. You don't have a full capacity. The Knights are probably going to buy more of these tickets than their own fans will. It's just not a school that invites a lot of football history or prowess, and that's just a state where they are,
Mm-hmm.
And you're right that those first 2 games are not going to go well. You have to hope that this squad has a lot of revenge on their mind. Like, they lost a lot of games last year they shouldn't have, and they end up 5-7 without a bowl. I just don't think they're going to accept that. So I don't know if you gave a win prediction, but I'm going to go 6-6.
That's what I had them at too.
Okay.
6-6. Just
Hey,
squeaking out a bowl.
We got it exactly right.
It only took us 7 schools to do it.
Exactly. But I mean, 6-6, 7-5. I don't really see a further ceiling than that.
Right.
You lose a lot of your offensive players and your coordinators, which now Florida State is lucky to have with Kendall Briles. So there's a trend there. Every time Kendall Briles leaves a school, the offensive production drops off drastically.
I'm interested to see what how that unfolds, but I just don't see it. And this is one of those things, like, how much longer is Lane going to be there, too? You got to start thinking about it. Is this as good as it gets for him for FAU?
Right. I don't see him being fired. I see him being hired away somewhere else because in Conference USA, you're not going to do better than him.
Yeah.
He's definitely the only coach you could readily actually name in that conference, besides maybe Butch Davis, because we know those schools pretty well.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Man, okay. So, well, according to our calculations, it looks like every Florida school will make a bowl. Well, you're arguing maybe South Florida skips out with 6-6. We'll see. So, at worst, 6 out of the 7 schools make a bowl game, and that's really good. I mean, it's good for the state. You see a school like the Bulls that just recruits only in the state of Florida, and I wouldn't necessarily go that route, but you can prove that maybe you are, at worst, a 500 squad with that kind of talent.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right. Well, that is that was exhausting. That was a whole 2019 season year. We covered 7 teams. They each played 12. What's 12 times 7? 84. We covered 84 games over this entire week. That was fun but exhausting at the same time.
Yes, let's take a little bit of siesta this week before the games start.
Right. For that reason, and since we already covered the Gators and the Kings, we're not going to have a week 0 traditional preview. So we'll let you catch up on these episodes, and we'll have a reaction for week 0, and then we'll have a little bit of time off before the week 1 games start. So you can expect some more content during that week. This is my favorite time of the season, favorite time of the year. Everyone's undefeated, and that's a fantastic thing to hear. No one's depressed. No one's coming in saying, I got to talk about this game. I got to get some therapy, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But any final thoughts on any of these 7 schools or anything else we've discussed so far?
I'm just excited. Again, I've said this several times. Excited to talk about college football. Excited to watch college football. I'm excited to have Saturdays where I don't move for several hours. I want to do that for a few months. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yep. And the only thing I'll end on is saying that I think there are 1 or 2 teams in the state of Florida that have a legitimate shot of winning their conference. And that's exciting because that means that you'll have an extra week of football, but it also means that you've had a lot of success at that school, and Yeah, maybe you could even argue 3 schools, all in contention within the last 2 weeks, and that just adds to the excitement of the season.
Yeah. It's football all around the state is getting better. For a while there, it was kind of not fun and not good football, but it's getting better now.
Yep, I agree. All right. So one other note, we do want to remind our fans and community that we do have a question that we want you to respond to, preferably in audio form. So that could be, there's a voice memo app. You can send us a voicemail if you have our numbers. And that is, who is your favorite Florida team and how many regular season wins do you think they'll have? Chris and I have been so kind enough that we've already covered every single team in Florida, so you know our answers. So now we want to hear yours. So what kind of feedback do you expect from this question, Chris? What do you think's going to happen?
It's going to be tough to make yourself be realistic. I fall into this trap, like I said many times, this part of the season where you're like, we're going to win every game.
Right.
So trying to be realistic at this point, because mid-season you start to become like, oh, this is who we are. But you don't know right now. So I would say just try to be realistic. What do you really think your team's going to do? And how do you really think the season's going to play out?
Right. I agree. And I kind of alluded to that when I was talking about Florida State. I was like, well, 6 to 8 wins is kind of what we're expecting. Of course, nobody can account for injuries, and so
right.
there's no way to know with that. But given the preseason hype and you have a clean slate, if you just throw your talent against every other team, what do you think will happen?
Right.
So, given the unbiased opinion of any game so far, we'd love to hear everybody's feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Bring them on.
Yes. All right. So, all of those inquiries and any feedback they want to give us, Chris, can you remind the fans how to do that and where to find us?
FloridaFocusPodcast.com. And we have some of our many outlets that you can reach us through that, but that's the main place to go to if you want to find us or get the content and all that good stuff.
Yeah, easy enough. And whatever podcast platform you found us on, we would appreciate a review. Not because we want our ego stroked, but because we want to hear how we can make the show better, what opportunities we have. And yeah, it does help to hear some 4 or 5 stars to say we're doing a great job. Not going to lie, that kind of helps too, keeps us going. But if we can make anything better about the show, we certainly will.
Yeah, I second that.
All right. Well, thank you to all the fans and the community. This is Brandon saying, go Noles.
Go Gators.